Thank you very much for that lovely hymn, Daniel. So now we're going to start off the night with a pre-talk by Rebecca Nakhla, who will be talking to us today about the presence of God. So if we could all make Rebecca feel welcome.
All right. Oops. Hi. Okay. I'll start off by saying I'm like super nervous, and so if this goes badly, blame Chris. Okay. And don't ask me again.
Blame Chris.
Yep. Okay. All right. Name of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Okay. Presence of God. I don't know if you guys are a talkative crowd, but does anyone want to shout out what it means to them to be in the presence of God? Or how? Oh, yeah. Okay, to be in heaven. Anything else? No, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. What does it mean then to not be in the presence of God? So we said presence of God is, feeling like you're in heaven, but like if we're thinking a bit more practically, like in our everyday life, I mean, no offense, we don't always feel like we're in heaven. Okay. Yeah, it's working. All right, I just gotta speak louder. Okay. So, all right. I like this. Okay. So, a friend sent me a sermon by a priest over in America, Father Paul Gerges, and it was about the presence of sermons. I have a really short attention span, so I really don't pay attention much. But one thing that really stuck out to me was he was going on, how it was around the time of Jonah's fast, and he was saying, like, let's look at the story of Jonah. Jonah was like a major prophet, at the time. Israel was, like on a high. They were doing well, they were following God, and then like he was really comfortable where he was, right? Big popular person, blah, blah, blah. And then God comes to him and goes, I want you to go to the Ninevites, a city of people who have tortured you guys for generations, who seem like they're so far gone that, they're not worthy, kind of thing. And so obviously we know the story. Jonah catches a ship, goes the opposite way. Then, the big waves, the storm, in the fish for 3 days, and eventually he goes to Nineveh. And so the point that he was making was that for us, being in the presence of God means that in every aspect of our lives, we are following God. So with Jonah running away, he was running from the presence of God. He thought by being in a different geological location that he could escape God, per se, right? And so the thing that really stuck out to me is so you could see Jonah was still talking to God and really into God, but in this one little aspect where he thought his judgment was better than God, he was like, nah, God. You don't need to be part of this. They don't deserve it, blah, blah, blah. So he was saying back into a practical sense for our lives, how many times do we, paying the bills, does it really need God in it? My work, does God have to be a part of it? It's just an everyday thing. Or, sometimes, we're in relationships and we think, it's going really well, it's between me and so, does it really need God? And so, particularly in a time when we're in this little part between Jonah's fast, which is our little, training camp for Lent, we need to really shift our focus and really be in the presence of God. So throw it back to you guys. What do you think are things that stop us from being in the presence of God? Do you have any ideas?
Doing your own will.
Doing your own will. Pretty spot on. Anything else? Sin. Good.
Worldly distractions.
Very good. Noise. Yeah. We always like think about the story of like Elijah when, you know, he's done some big miraculous miracle, like God did the miracle, you know, the whole sacrifice, and then, you know, it's all filled with water and God still lights it on fire, blah, blah, blah. But we always hear the story of, you know, he was looking for God's voice and it wasn't in the wind and it wasn't in, you know, the raging sea. It was in this, you know, it's still small voice in the quiet place. I stuffed up the wording, but you get the point. So I think one of the things I really wanted to just wrap up and hit on was worldly distractions. I think when we head into Lent, it's very easy to be like, yeah, okay, we get the whole food thing, you know, don't eat that, whatever. It's not that big of a deal because we're lucky nowadays, you know, chocolate, you eat dark chocolate. Meat, there's like that fake stuff, you know, there's substitutions for everything, and I think we lose the point of the fast and we don't get to be in that pure presence of God. And so I think what I would challenge you to do, you know, it's a couple of days before Lent. Obviously, we all go to our confession father and, you know, they kind of set the boundaries and set your canon. But one thing I would challenge you to do is really try to find one thing that you just like are so into and go without for the whole of Lent. Like it can be simple as like social media or like, you know, the music you listen to. I promise you it will make the biggest difference to your Lent. It just does something to you when you actually give up something and take away those distractions, and really you're left with nothing to do but to be in God's presence. Okay, glory be to God forever.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. That was very, very lovely. So just before I announce the speaker for tonight, the main speaker, just a request that if you're going to be answering any questions or asking any questions, please use the microphone just for the live streaming, because then the people at home will be able to hear what you say. So now we'll be moving on to the main talk for the night. So our speaker tonight is somebody who knows how to use their time very well, somebody who's used their time to serve God. Would like to invite Nermeen Riyad to talk to us today to continue our series on time. So if we could all make her feel welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I want to thank Carol for inviting us. And here, and with me is my colleague Phoebe, who's you guys probably know her. So my name is Nermeen. I'm from Washington D.C. and I started Coptic Orphans 34 years ago. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this lovely verse that Carol assigned. And actually, before I do that, how many have heard of Coptic Orphans? Okay, good. All right. Wow, that's really good. So she asked me to speak on there is a time for everything, a time to be silent, and a time to speak. And this is what we're going to talk about. But now it's time for a little icebreaker. Okay, you ready for the questions? And you do get prizes if you get these answered right. Okay, we'll start with the really hard ones. Okay, here it goes. Saint Cuzman and Damian, if they were alive today, what passport would they be holding? What's their passport? What country are they from? Is it what? We got one answer that says heaven. It's actually quite almost the opposite. What country are they from? Say again? Roman, close, but no, not yet. What country? It's an unusual country. Saint-Domingue and Saint-Cosmien. Where are they from? Yalla, another guess. Guess any country. Yalla, Zayabadu. Somebody's going to get this candy. Greece, great, not yet. Close. Aywa. Say again. Iran, you're getting close, actually. Yes, tell me. Syria, you're getting close. Antakya, close, not yet. Yalla, come in. This is good stuff, man. This is good candy. Egyptian, you're close. You're in the area. Jerusalem, you're close. Aywa. Jordan, you're close.
Palestine,
You're close.
Syria,
Close. Come on. What else is around there? Okay, think of the craziest country in that area. Bravo, Saudi Arabia. That's right. Saint-Domingue and Cosmien are from Saudi Arabia. Now, so next question. What was Jesus Christ's second language? His first language, we all know, which is Aramaic. What's his second language? What language did he speak in addition? Close, not exactly. English, close. Okay. So he's a little boy. He was playing with the other kids. What were they speaking? King speaking tongues. Yeah, that's a great answer, but not the candy one. Egyptian. It's actually Coptic, right? There you go. Because he was playing with the Egyptian kids, right? He was there until he was 3 years old. So obviously he was talking with the little Egyptian kids, and what were they speaking then? It was Coptic. Okay. Wow, exactly. See, now you get to learn all these things. So for those that have heard of Coptic orphans, how many years has it been around? Bravo, 34 years. One candy for Carol. All right. How many children did we start with? Close. More than 8. A little more. A little less. What'd you say? 10, a little more. Did you say 45? Oh my gosh, you're right. You're right. 45 kids. We started with 45. How many today have we reached? More than that. Yeah. How many? 10,000. More than 10,000. How many kids have we reached? Yeah, exactly. He's checking. How many did we reach? 50,000. More than 50,000. Less than 100,000. Come on. Aywa. Less than 100,000? Less than 80? Aywa. Little less? 75. Bravo. Okay, 75,000 children that Coptic Orphans has reached. How many towns and villages? How many towns and villages do you operate in? Kim?
70.
How many towns and villages?
70.
70? More. More than that. Did you say 700? You're absolutely right. 700 towns and villages. Bravo. Okay, so for those that didn't get we're going to now American history, just so that you could at least get something. Okay, you ready for this? Okay. So I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Okay, it's really hard. American history.
I'm not good at American
I know. Pay attention. What year was the War of 1812?
It's a tough one. 1812.
Bravo! All right. And who is buried in Grant's tomb? Grant, exactly. Very good. Okay. Where was the Treaty of Versailles signed? In Versailles. Bravo, Ali. And lastly, let's see, who shall we ask? I'm kidding. Give you a really, really hard one. What color did they paint the White House? Bravo, there you go. Good job. Okay. So that's our little icebreaker. Okay. So let's get back to the verse of there's a time to be silent and a time to speak. So there's a gentleman named, actually, he was a German pastor. His name is Martin Niemöller. And he lived during the time of the Nazis. And he said something that's actually now kind of engraved in the Holocaust Museum. And if you go to Washington, D.C., you'll see this in the museum. He says this. He says, first they came for the socialists, and I didn't speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. So what is this where it says to speak, a time to speak? And what are we to speak out? What is it that God wants us to speak out against or about? In Isaiah, it says, learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, defend the fatherless, and plead for the widow. These are the things, kind of like our guiding principles, where God is asking us, I want you to do something. I want you to do these things. So you're asked to be proactive. You are asked to make things right and to seek justice. But what does it mean to seek justice? Or what is this injustice that we are trying to right? Well, for the past 34 years that I've run the organization, I've seen a lot of injustices. And let me tell you a story of Abraam. I've traveled throughout all of Egypt and visited so many homes and families where we are helping the fatherless. But I remember this particular home, this particular family, and I'll never forget it. We walked in, and the mother was crying because she had just lost her husband. I've met a lot of widows, but this one was particularly, kind of, it gets to your heart, because she was saying, he wasn't only my husband, he was like my father, he was like my brother, he was everything to me. And she was crying, and around her were her children. The eldest was Abraam, he was 7 years old. And then there was a younger sister and someone younger. And the littlest baby, I remember he was maybe about 8 months or so, and he was crawling kind of on his thighs because his legs were withered. He'd never be able to walk. And the woman was crying and crying. And then Abraam goes, what? He goes, Mama, don't cry. I'm the man of the house now. I'll go to work. I'll make money. Don't cry. And Taban, the mother, hearing her 7-year-old saying this, and indeed, in those villages, in those places, children that young were going to work in the mountains where they were cutting up hegora, like rocks and such, not called mining, excavating, I don't know what you call it. But that children were actually doing that. And so he could have easily gone to work in that realm. So the mother cried even more, and she says, "La ya abanub, you have to enjoy tafultak, you have to enjoy your childhood. La ya abanub." And he's like, "Matayatish yamma, matayatish yamma," right? In that, there's so many injustices. There's the injustice of having lost a father and having no income. There's an injustice of this kid having to work. There's an injustice of this kid not being able to get his education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But thankfully, thank God, they enrolled in our program, and we are making sure that little Abanub does not go to work and that he's able to stay in school. So I want to show you more of these injustices in a video that we have. And I want you to think, okay, but what injustice does God want me to address? أنا أعمل إيه? What am I supposed to do? When is it my time to speak? And really the answer is, whoever God puts in your path. This is what God is asking from you. هو مش طالب that you do something for the Ukrainians as the Russians invade. It's too far from you. It's not in front of you. But God will manage to put something in your path and just kind of have your eyes open, and then suddenly you'll realize, this is my time to speak out. This is my time to defend the fatherless or plead for the widow's case. So right now I'm going to show you a video that tells you a story of two sisters, and these are children that we've been helping. And how have we been helping is through the support of people who care about these children, and for that reason that we're able to do this. So I wanted to show you this. It's a 12-minute video, and then we'll catch up afterwards.
أنا اسمي مريم سعد يوسف مرلاوي المنيا، وعندي 19 سنة.
أنا منى سعد يوسف، سني 21 سنة.
اسمي عزيزة ذكري شهيدة.
بابا كان فلاح. أفتكر أنا كنت بروح معاه وأنا صغيرة الغيط ولا الزرعة.
ندي له أجر، نضيع منه ونجيب منه عشاء ونجيب منه حاجات للبيت ونكسي منه الولادات، بس الحلة ما كانش ملقية زي كده.
جي خبر إن هو وقعت عليه نخلة في الغيط.
جي كان قاعد في تحتها كده يعملوا شيء، كان قاعد هو من هنا ورماني من هنا.
أخويا رموني اللي هو متجوز، هو اللي كان هيتعور المفروض.
يبقى هاد نخلة كده تكتك، قالوا وعا وعا، وكلهم قاموا خد ابني هنا ده ورموني ونزل في حوض بتاع شفوت.
هو كان أساسا بيفدى أخويا، يعني كان بينقذ أخويا من الموت.
أنا كان عمري 4 سنين لما بابا توفى.
اليوم ده كانت صعبة للدرجة.
كنت بزعلانة، كنت أقوم في الليل هما يبقوا راقدين العيال في ريحي، كنت أقوم أعيط كده في الليل وحدي، أعيط. وليلة ليلة ما كنتش أنام، كنت أقلب وأدير على المعيشة اللي أنا أعيش كيف. كنت صغيرة وولادي صغيرين وجوزي مات وسيبني، لكن رغم ما سابنيش اتحمكت كده وعيطت. فكر كده كنت أعيط. العيال كانوا يمشوا كده حواليا ويقولوا لي ما تعيطي، بس ما عيطتش من كده. أي حاجة كانت تخلي معايا. بعد ما احترف كنت أعيط، وبعد ما عرفت ما كنتش أتنيوع، أقول خلاص ده اللي اتعكر مش هتنيوع، بس احترف عشان ربنا يغفر الخطيئة.
بس كان بتبقى حفلات ليوم اليتيم والدنيا دي، فيعني كنا بنحس برضه بفرق بيننا وبين الطلبة التانيين.
كان عندي مشكلة نفسية وأنا صغيرة، كنت على طول قبل ما أنام أبقى بعيط، وكان شعري هنا بيبوظ بسبب الحالة النفسية دي.
والمعاش بتاعي كان 80 جنيه، كانت تخلص ما أملى أنبوبة، أحط قاسمة مية، أحط قاسمة نور. مرة ما كانش فيا حاجة أجيبها، جيت خدت 2 جنيه من جورتي أجيب مدمس، كان الوقت اتأخر، رحنا بلينا عيش وكان نتش يعني، بس ما تكلمناش، قلنا نشكرك يا رب.
احنا كنا عايشين مع بيت عمي، كان على طول بيبقى في مشاكل، يعني لو في حاجة في البيت تتعمل احنا اللي نعملها وهم لا، لو في مصاريف في البيت احنا ندفعها وهم لا، وكانوا على طول بيقولوا كفاية ان احنا موكلينكم ومقعدينكم.
يعني احنا بعد كده ما كناش لاقيين حد يحتوينا لدرجة الأب، حتى لو كان في عم، بس يعني ما كانش المعاملة بالنسبة لنا زي ولاده.
ده هما كانوا بيتخانقوا لما بنروح الكنيسة ونيجي متأخر، ومرة قفل علينا الباب برا بأمانة، ما كانش راضي يدخلنا عشان يتأخرنا في الكنيسة. حتى في الكنيسة لما كنا احنا ناخد هدية وهما لا، كانوا بيتخانقوا وياخدوها مننا ويدوها لعيالهم. مفيش حل غير الصلاة أكيد. كنت على طول بحس ان انا اقل واحدة في صحابي، بس انا على طول كنت ببقى عايزة ابقى احسن وابقى زي صحابي، حتى لو مش في مستوى مادي ابقى في التعليم زيهم كده. وانا من اول وانا في ثالثه ابتدائي طلعت من الاوائل وخدت شهاده تقدير، من وقتها حسيت ان انا حد كويس واقدر ابقى كويس وبتكرم اهو. كنت احب اصاحب الناس الشاطره عشان ابقى زيهم، فجم وعزلنا واحنا خدنا البيت دوت.
فعلا قعدنا وحدنا، وابني كان معايا يشتغل، وربنا ادينا جبنا بقرة، ابني بقى يطلعها وناكل من ربنا يدينا ناكل لبن وناكل سمك ونعمل كشك، واشكر ربنا. يعني ربنا ما سابنيش بعد. بس حكاية قراية البنات الكوبتك هو ساعدنا أكتر، مش مخلينا عايل الهم.
لما دخلت كوبتك اورفنز في حياتي كنت في اولى اعدادي رايحه تانية اعدادي، طبعا الدنيا اتغيرت خالص، معجزه او هديه بعد صبر كبير 10 سنين احنا قاعدين معاهم. يعني جينا حد يشجعنا ويساعدنا ويحقق معانا احلامنا.
أنا ماهر مكرم بشرى، خادم متطوع في كوبتك أورفانز. بيت وضعه كان فيه حاجات كتيرة بيعانوا منها، والبنات بالذات، من دبان، من ناموس أو من صراصير، من فئران، حاجات كتيرة كانت صعبة خالص يعني.
لكن احنا هنا كنا مرتاحين حتى لو المكان مش حلو، ندخل براحتنا ونطلع براحتنا، نروح الدروس. لكن بعد ما دخلت البرنامج طلعت التانية على المدرسة، وفي تالتة اعدادي ذاكرت وجبت 98%. انا كنت جايبة اعلى واحدة فيهم مع ان انا اقل منهم في المستوى المادي، فانا كنت مبسوطة جدا. حتى هما كانوا بيبقوا غيرانين، وفي واحدة صاحبتي كانت بتخاصمني بعد النتيجة على طول عشان انا بجيب اكتر منها، مع ان هي شايفة ان انا حالتي اقل منها.
كده أنا كنت شايف جواهم تحدي وإصرار إن هم يكملوا، إن هم يوقفوا على رجليهم، وإن هم يتعلموا تعليم كويس. وده اللي خلاني أشتغل معاهم بصورة أفضل من كده، عشان نوصل مع بعض للهدف اللي هم عايزين يحققوه. فابتدي إن إحنا نجرب من بعض ونفهم بعض ونعرف أكتر بعض، نعرف احتياجات ونعرف نحلها، ونعرف المشاكل ونعرف نشتغل عليها. لكن هم بيبقوا أصحاب القرار، وهم أصحاب الحلول اللي بتطلع من أفكارهم.
أستاذ ماهر متطوع بكوبتك أورفانز، لو عايزين ملزمات اللي هو الكتب والملزمات العلمية كان بيجيبها لنا هو، وكان بيجي يدينا مصاريف الدروس.
لما بيشجعني كان على طول حاسس ان انا هعمل حاجة كويسة وان هو يقدر يطلع مني شخص كويس. كان على طول معانا في حياتنا الاجتماعية كمان، ويسمع مشاكلنا ويسمع طلباتنا. مش بس ببقى شاطرة في المدرسة اكتر، بس كنت بطلع من الحالة النفسية اللي انا فيها، بقيت بتعامل مع الناس.
الأم دي كانت هي أساساً عندها فيروس سي، يعني كانت بتاخد حقن
لدرجة ان هي ايديها كانت بتوجعها وما كانتش بتقدر تستحمله، كانت بتعيط منها كتير، وبرغم كده ما كانتش بتيجي تنام، كانت بتيجي هي تنظف وتعمل الاكل. كانوا بيقولوا انتوا خليكم في مذاكرتكم وما لكمش دعوه بيا.
الأستاذ ماهر بيقعد معايا ويجي على طول ويدوم يتكاسوا، نجيب لحمة هنصوم يدينا، نجيب لحمة قبل ما نصوم، لما نفطر يدينا يجيب لحمة، وسواء يجيب لنا هو. بركة الكبتة.
كنت في تالتة إعدادي ابتدى برنامج كوبتك أورفانز، يعني ساهم معانا ويساعدنا لحد ما دخلت الثانوية العامة، وبينمي الشخصية بتاعتنا، واللي هو يدينا مفهوم التطوع الصح، حاجة بعتها ربنا كويسة خالص بالنسبة لنا.
كانوا في كنيسة قاعدين خدامه بيقولوا ان فيه هيعملوا خدمة جديدة اسمها خدمة المرضى، وانا في ثانوي خدت اعداد خدام في الكنيسة، طلعت الاولى عليهم. ولما بنروح هناك الناس بتفرح بوجودنا معاهم، بيقعدوا يرنموا، وعلى طول لما بيشوفونا بيقعدوا يدعوا لنا كده، فانا بتبسط لما بيقعدوا يدعوا لنا.
الرحلات بقى احنا طبعا برنامج بيدعم فكره الرحلات لانها بتقوي الصلات بيننا وبين المشارك.
بين الناس كلها تعرف ان احنا في برنامج لست وحدك، وفي ناس كتير بتحسدنا عليه ان احنا بنلاقي حد كده يشجعنا ونطلع معاه رحلات.
وكنا بنطلع ورشات برضه، ورشات عمل، ورشة اللي هي بتاع الحماية من الإيذاء الجسدي، وتاني برضه واحدة للأمهات كانت عن الميديا، مخاطر الميديا وفوائدها.
بيبقى فيه على مدار السنه الكامله بيبقى فيه منهج معين وخطط محطوطه بحيث ان احنا في السنه دي هنتدرب على الحاله الفلانيه او حمايه المشارك، سواء كان ايذاء بقى جسدي، ايذاء ميديا، ايذاء عاطفي، كل ده ايذاء جنسي كمان. كل دواتي من ضمن الحاجات اللي احنا بتفيدنا وان احنا نتعامل بصوره افضل مع اولادنا ومعنا احنا، مع اولادنا احنا شخصيا كمان، مش بس مع المشاركين في البرنامج.
وتالتة سنة وجبت مجموع كويس 90%. جات لي رياض الأطفال، فعلا دخلت رياض الأطفال وكملت دي تالت سنة وراح رابعة.
منى موهوبة اجتماعية جدا، لبقة جدا، يعني عندها قدرات كتيرة حلوة، يعني تحمل، وعندها ان هي تضحية، وعندها حب الآخرين.
وانا في ثالثه ثانوي قدمت على منحه قاده المستقبل، ورحت عملت انترفيو وخدت المنحه. منحه قاده المستقبل دي منحه حلوه خالص، يعني بيشجعونا وبينمونا شخصيتنا، بيعملوا لنا تدريبات ويبقى عندنا شخصيه قياديه ناخد قرارات.
برنامج لست وحدك علمنا ازاي نبقى أعضاء واحدة، يعني هو مش خدمة، هو مش بالنسبة لنا خدمة، لا هو بيعلمنا ازاي كلنا نبقى جسد واحد وأعضاء واحدة ونشارك بعض كلنا في كل حاجة.
كان كتاب من الكتب اللي هم بيشجعونا نقراها وهم اللي ادوهولنا العادات السبع. هو كتاب بيعلمنا ازاي ابقى شخصية قيادية في 7 صفات للشخص القائد. وفي شهر يناير عملوا لنا حفلة كبيرة ورحت واتكرمت انا وماما والاستاذ ماهر.
لكن ولادي بقوا يطلعوا، كنت ما بساعدها قوي. الولاد طلعوا فسحوا وفرحانين وغيروا جو بدل ما كانوا في البيت معايا على طول.
بعد ما دخلت كوبتك اورفنز بقى عندي احلام كبيره عايزه احققها. كانوا وانا على طول وانا صغيره بيقولوا لي يا دكتوره، فانا حبيت لقب دكتوره ده وكان نفسي ابقى دكتوره. وانا في ثالثه ثانوي وجبت مجموع 97.3 ودخلت كليه طب اسنان.
وكنت مبسوطه قوي بيها ان هي بنتي تبقى دكتوره، وكنت مزغرت على طول في البيت، فرحت بها قوي.
ما كانش في حد من اصحابي، ما فيش حد دخل غير انا
اللي هي اول واحده كده في الحته دي اللي هي تبقى، وفي العيله كلها اللي هي تبقى دكتوره.
وعرفت ناس جديده وبتعامل مع ناس كتير، الحياه الجامعيه احسن وخليني اعتمد على نفسي برضه لما عايشه بعيد عن البيت.
وما أجمل أن يخبرك أحدهم أنك أحد الأسباب اللي كانت مريم فعلا شايفة ولامسة التغيير اللي حصل لها دواتي كله، وإنه برنامج لست وحدك، وإن هيئة كوبتك أورفانز ليها صورة كبيرة للي هي وصلت له دواتي حاليا.
ربنا يعوضها.
وبنتي بقت، يعني كنت استمنى ان احلم ان هي بنتي تبقى كده، بس ببركه الكابتن برضه انا ما كانش عندي مقدريه ان انا اصرف عليها وادخلها كده، بس الكابتن برضه كنت فرحانه ونسيت اللي انا كنت فيه.
لولا البرنامج ما كناش كملنا، حتى لو كنا الكنيسه ساعدتنا كانت تساعدنا كنا خدنا دبلوم مثلا، لكن ما كناش هناخد بكالوريوس ولا كنا هندخل كليه.
النهارده هو احتفال بثمار التعب اللي تعبتيه، هنكلله النهارده بتكريم امهات لقاده المستقبل، وقاده المستقبل ولاد وبنات من برنامج لست وحدك حصلوا على منحة للدراسة في الجامعة، فاحنا النهاردة بنكرم أمهاتهم، بنكرم الأم عزيزة ذكري شحاتة، والست عزيزة عندها مريم برضو من قادة المستقبل، السنة دي خلصت سنة أولى طب أسنان من أولادنا من برنامج لست وحدك، نقول لها مبروك.
لكن دلوقتي أشكر ربنا، ربنا يقول لي افرح، انت بنت دكتوره، انت ما تزعليش، خليكي حلوه فرفشي، بس كده صدقني.
So God asks us to learn to do good. So my question to you, as it's now, there's a time to be silent, a time to speak. start thinking about what it is that you're going to do good. And actually, doing good is a determine. Think about it. Think about something that you've decided that you will do. Some khair, some. So I'm going to give you a minute to think about it. I want you to qarrar, to make a decision that I will do X, Y, and Z. Think about it. What good that you will do. Does anybody want to share what they decided to do? What good that they want to do? Okay. So, very, very shy people. I won't put anyone on the spot, and I'm not going to give any more prizes. But something, I want you to take home with you. Christ would go out, and he went about doing good. He purposefully went out and says, I'm going to do some good. And I want you to be like him in that respect. And we can do that. حتى لو حاجة صغيرة قوي. If it's something as small as a smile to someone, or a text encouraging someone. Something as incredibly small as that, it's you who've decided to do it and you've done it. And that's big. Okay. So, آخر حاجة, I'm going to wrap up. I want to mention two things before I go. For those that would be interested in helping a child in Egypt and make a difference in their lives, there's sponsorship that you can do. And each folder has a child that is in need of sponsorship. And this boy is named Bola. And he doesn't have a sponsor. And so you can sponsor by a minimum of $60 or more. Most people actually do 100. But to start sponsorship, you get to know this child, Bola. He gets to know you. He'll write you letters. You write him letters. When you go to Egypt, you could actually go and visit him. We arrange all of that very easy for you. There's no burden on your part. And the change that you will see over the years, لحد ما he graduates, it's like you've become his father. You've become his big brother, his big sister. It makes the biggest difference for this child's life. And actually, his prayers make a difference for your lives as well. I've gone into homes where the children have actually kept the letters coming from their sponsors under their pillow. Actually, that's the safest place that they could find to keep the letters that they were getting from their sponsors. So that's one thing. Another thing that I want you to do, if you can, is go ahead and open your phones, and I want you to go to our webpage, and actually Phoebe will be able to send on the WhatsApp group the link for the webpage. Why I want you to do that? I want you to go to the part that says contact us, and go ahead and enter your information, because I want to keep you updated with a lot of announcements that's happening so that you don't get left out. So please put in your name, your contact information. We're going to give you some interesting announcements. Okay, here's the most important piece, the big announcement. You ready for this? We've just launched a program called The 21. What is this? This is a freely gifted trip to Egypt to serve, discover your heritage, and connect with your faith. This is the first time we've ever done this. It's going to happen in June. It's going to happen in the end of June for 3 weeks. To qualify, you have to be between the ages of 18 to 23. So I think sorry guys, I think maybe the majority are in that age group. So you can apply, and only 50 people will be taken from all over the world. But you have to be a Copt of Egyptian descent and between those ages. So if you're interested in something like that, I highly recommend that you apply. And then, taban, God will do the rest. Bes. So that's my story. Happy to have questions if you have questions. And Phoebe has 10 children in the back. She got them in her bag. She brought them here in her bag. And she insists that she doesn't leave with them back in her bag, that you all get, each one of you have your own child. Okay. Questions if you have any questions.
I have a question.
I just had a question. With the $100 or the $60 that you donate, is that monthly?
Correct.
And like practically speaking, how much would that cover of their costs? Because we know like $100 here is nothing. So how
Beautiful
much would that
question.
cover?
Exactly. So what we've done is by sponsoring children, the money isn't going straight to them, it goes into the pool. And so your $100, his $100, etc. And what the child receives in the end, and the services he receives, is based on each circumstance. So you'll have a young child who still is in kindergarten, he doesn't have that much expenses, whereas someone in college will need a lot more. Or if your child needs an operation, I won't come to you and say, pay up $2,000 or your kid isn't gonna get his operation. We would cover from the pool. So this is how it works. So our assistance, actually, it's a matter of assistance, and they may not be able to cover everything, but it's certainly a big jump in the right direction. That's a great question, thank you.
Yeah, I have a question.
Tfaddal.
Wouldn't you lose your heavenly reward if you are known to... You're getting prayers and blessings in regards to you're donating, and then in return you're getting prayers and blessings. Isn't it?
Oh, great question. Is it better to be anonymous?
Yes.
Beautiful question. Some people prefer, and they remain anonymous, but the children, they love to know you. They want to know you. They want to pray for you.
Feet. You know, it says in the Bible, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. With regards to that, if they know who you are and they're praying specifically for you, you're getting your glory on earth, and so therefore, you're not getting the heavenly reward.
But Rabbina asks all of us to pray for each other. You won't that will be taken away from you in heaven. On the contrary, you get to pray for them as well. You're helping them, they're helping you. It's a really good thing. It's a wonderful thing. But thank you for that great question. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, one more. Tfaddali.
Sorry. I remember you saying that we can write letters and stuff to the children. How often would that be weekly, monthly? How would the communication happen?
Excellent question. So you will always get from them two letters a year. And one of them will include the volunteer rep's progress report. So you get a report on your child. You could reply, you could send however often that you want. And all of this gets translated from Arabic to English in both directions. So actually, our Coptic orphan staff translates, I think it was 25,000 letters per year. Some huge number of letters that gets translated. So you don't have to worry about the language problems. And then also we now have a portal, an online portal where you could write directly into the portal, so you don't have to write a letter physically, and it goes to your child. Thank you. Sounds good? Okay. Thank you. Oh, one more?
It's not so much a question, but I just wanted to answer Angelos' question before. Online, you can also just donate.
Yes, that's beautiful. Yes, that's correct. You could actually do a donation, and it doesn't have to be associated with a child. Absolutely. Great. All right. Thank you all very much. You've been a wonderful group. Thank you.
David Mahfouz. Is he gone? Okay. Thank you very much for that, Nameen. God bless you. And if anyone's interested, there's folders out the back with children in them. We don't have any announcements other than